Next is Dr. Vishal H. Sharma.
Good morning, everyone. My case presentation is on web of an overlooked injury. These are my associations, and I have no financial interest. Briefly introducing two fractures of orbital wall, common fracture sites of blowout fracture of orbit, that is shown in this red line, is the medial wall, medial and the floor of the orbit, just middle to the infraorbital groove, which is the thinnest part. And coming to this picture, it can be pure fracture, just a blowout fracture of the floor, and it could be impure, wherein the orbital margins can be involved. Mason and Culix classified the fractures based on the energy of impact, the degree and extent of comminution and displacement observed on CT. It could be a trapdoor fracture with a low velocity injuries, or a medial blowout fracture that is usually seen with the intermediate velocity of the injuries, or if the velocity is high enough, then it may cause lateral blowout fractures. So mode could be road traffic accident, domestic violence, assault, fall, or any trivial injury. So coming to the case, what is web of? It is white eye blowout fracture. So why it is important? So it has minimal signs noted on gross external examination, as you see in this child, and expected findings of lead edema, ecchymosis, or exophthalmos are absent. Subconjunctival hematoma may be present, and generally it is seen in pediatric age group. So why it is overlooked or rather underlooked? So in severe cases like head injury, as the patient is usually in the ICU setup, and in cases with milder injuries, with just trivial injury around the eye, or if there is symptoms of head injury, generally patient thinks we think that it could be a symptom of head injury. So why prompt diagnosis is important? It may be fatal. So in this scenario, a 7-year-old male child presented with history of RTA, and he was rushed to the multi-specialty hospital due to multiple episodes of vomiting and syncopal attacks. CT brain was done, and with 5 mm cut sections and axial cuts, which was reported normal by the radiologist. He was treated conservatively by the neurosurgeon. After 4 days, still the persistence of the symptoms, the ophthalmologist was called in to take a review. So what do you see in this patient on this picture? There is a head tilt on the right side. Why is it so? Because there is limitation of up gaze. So this was a floor fracture with minimal inferior rectus tissue being prolapsed along with the orbital tissue into the fracture site, and which was missed on the CT scan with the higher, larger cuts. So this is how force junction test was performed to see the limitation of the right eye, and this is to compare with the left eye, the movement. The child was taken up for the surgery, and this is how the prolapsed tissue was retrieved from the fracture site. This is what the fracture site was seen, and it was repaired with the help of porous polyethylene implant. This is how we take the template with the help of a paper, and then we fashion it of the desired size and shape, and this is how the implant was placed. So at the end of surgery, we just confirmed the release of the muscle from the fracture site. This is pre-op. This is post-op day 4. Although intraoperatively we had the feel that we had retrieved it properly, we didn't find we did find some limitation in upgaze in this patient. This was because of the inflammation that was induced in this case. But at the end of 2 years follow-up, you can see the complete resolution of the limitation. This is just a slide which I want to emphasize upon the CT scan. A young female presented with subtle diplopia in down gaze associated with headache, nausea and giddiness. She had a fall in her washroom 3 days back, and her CT again came out to be normal as reported by the radiologist. Why? Because larger sections were taken. We should take at least a millimeter cut. As you can see in this case, there was only a 5 millimeter, less than a 5 millimeter bone fragment that was impinging to the inferior rectus, that caused the restriction, limitation and diplopia in this case. So my take-home message on this is, suspect whenever you have symptoms like nausea, oculocardiac reflexes, diplopia, dizziness, do suspect of orbital flow fracture. At least 1 millimeter size cut should be taken on CT scan in all the planes, axial, coronal as well as sagittal sections. And early intervention is the key to success in this. Thank you.
On a practical note, you said the early pictures showed that there is limitation of in the up gaze early because of the inflammation post 2 years. How frequently, I mean, since you are doing it regularly, how early does it come back to normal? Post of 1 week, you can think that still there is residual entrapment. 2 weeks means whether you'd like to intervene or you just wait and watch. What is your experience?
Usually, the movement comes back in early post-operative period.
How many
but
days?
the couple of days it can be seen. It's
that
not
picture was 1 week, no?
No, 4 days. In this case, there was a massive inflammation seen, and I repeated a CT scan, and I thought whether I need to intervene back again
That's what
to open and redo the surgery. But as there was quite a edema seen on this scan, I waited. I gave him a short course of oral steroids for 5 days and stopped it, and the thing resolved on its own. So another take-home message for me was from this, that we should not directly jump into a resurgery in post-operative period if you see such kind of scenario with inflammation.
One question I have. After intraoperative, we have placed the implant and intraoperative force reduction test was negative. Now, after the surgery, when the patient comes to the outdoor after 1 or 2 days, then we see muscle diplopia. That is a complaint. Now, how long we will we'll just be quiet and put the patient on oral steroid or?
No, it is natural to expect diplopia immediately post-operatively
Yes.
because there will be trauma,
Yes, sir.
muscle sheath hematoma, muscle hematoma, inflammation in the area where you have intervened and retrieved the orbital contents and put an implant. You would expect it to resolve in 6 weeks to 3 months. 3 months is my outside limit. Beyond that, if obviously diplopia persists in primary position, then you have to go in for extraocular muscle surgery.
Fibrosis or something that have happened during the injury.
Most likely. So you repeat a scan and then see if there is no prolapse of orbital contents with indirect incarceration or direct incarceration of the extraocular muscle. Sometimes what gets missed is the posterior edge of the fracture. If you don't explore it enough, the posterior extent of the fracture can be missed during your surgery. Right? So the end point of your exploration is visualization of the posterior extent of the fracture. That's very important. If you miss it, or if your implant sometimes can get displaced, especially if you use a implant such as porous polyethylene, which we all use, which is fixed by cyanoacrylate glue, can get displaced post-operatively. Whereas a titanium implant, since it is screwed, it doesn't get displaced. So if you have used such an implant, there's a possibility of displacement as well.
So that is one factor. The missed the posterior extent and we have not repaired, and second one, displaced implant.
Displaced implant. Beyond that, there is this direct muscle injury.
Yeah.
Direct muscle injury can happen because of the trauma itself.
Trauma itself.
Secondly, because of your exploration. You're exploring, right?
Right.
And you're retrieving the muscle from a
From a
tight
child,
fracture
yes.
situation.
Yes.
So in a child, white-eyed load fracture, if the incarceration is very tight, you may have seen me enlarging the
Yes, sir. The-
bony opening, enlarging the fracture
Fracture,
so that the muscle comes off easily without
Yes.
you having to struggle.
Yes, sir.
Right? Once you enlarge the fracture, whatever that is incarcerated comes out very easily. This is specifically in a child with a white-eyed load fracture, where the fracture is almost like a green stick fracture, where the displacement is hardly ever there and the fracture is very small and the incarceration is large. It's called a
Yes.
teardrop sign. That's because
Yes.
at the point of incarceration it is very narrow, but as it gets into the maxillary sinus it becomes like really bulbous. So that amount of tissue you have to retrieve from a very small fracture site,
So
right?
you have to enlarge it.
Yeah, you enlarge it. Anyway, you can put an implant.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.